Hi everybody, it's Sally from Sally Stampers. Thank you for joining me today. Today I am bringing you my nail polish gift box. I can't decide whether this is going to be a tricky or a basic project. I'd like to think that it's fairly basic, even though it looks crazy busy. It's a cute little box and it's got this lovely belly band on it. And then when you open it up, you have three beautiful nail varnishes just sat inside. They do wobble about a little bit, but they kind of sit where they should. But yeah, I think that's a really pretty little box, and it literally just sits on top of each other, so there's no overlapping or tucking in. And then obviously the belly band here just holds it all in place. Now I just need to just be careful of that DSP as I put this belly band on. She says carefully. Okay, there we have it. So that's that on. Right, so once that's on and in place, I'll show you how to make it, and it is really simple. So I'm using the Ornate Garden Suite here. I've got all my pieces all ready because it does require a few pieces of card. So this is my DSP here. And then I'm just going to get rid of that bit because that's for the belly band as well. So we don't need that for a moment. So as you can see, I've got several pieces of cardstock here, one of which I've labelled so I don't get mixed up. So for the base and the lid of the box, you need two pieces that are the same size, and these are 7.5 by 4.5 inches, which is 19.5 by 12. So I'm going to keep those for the moment. Let's just pop these to one side and we'll do one bit at a time. So when you're doing these, you have to remember to put a shim in. The reason being is because when you put the insert in, you need just that fraction as if you were putting the lid on a base. So it's just the same. So we're going to use a shim for both of these, and I'm actually going to use the piece that I labelled insert for that. So both of your pieces are done exactly the same. So 7.5 by 4.5, 19.5 by 12, and we're going to score all sides at 1.5 inches. So both pieces 1.5 inches, which is 4 centimetres, and we're just going to go round with the shim on both pieces. This one. Keeping that shim in place because, as I say, it just helps when you come to do the building up. Okay, so let's move this for the moment, and then we're simply going to fold and burnish our score lines. And again, we're going to do both pieces the same, so fold and burnish those score lines. And then we're going to get our scissors, and we're simply going to cut these four corners into wedges. Again, doing exactly the same on both pieces. And then once we've done this one, we're going to repeat it exactly the same on the other side. My good old dog's barking. We haven't heard them for a while, have we? But they are still here and they are still barking. Okay, so I'm not going to actually cut this one because I have one already pre-made to save time. But basically you're going to do this for both pieces. We're then going to pop our DSP on. Okay, so you will need, for one lid or one base, 2 small squares of DSP that are 1.25 by 1.25, which is 3.5 by 3.5. I've got them, the new Stampin' Seals. Yes, I finally have them. So we're just gonna use them exactly the same as your snail. So we're just gonna pop these on the corners. Do you know what I love about this seal is that it doesn't click like the snail when you're using it. You don't get that clicking, which is fabulous. So yeah, so you need 2 each. So technically you'll need 4 of these, which are 1 1/4 by 1 1/4, 3 1/2 by 3 1/2, and then you're going to need 5 of these that are 4 1/4 by 1 1/4, and these are going to sit across the sides here and across the top, but obviously on the base you're not going to put one on the bottom. So we're just going to put those on all sides. So I'm just going to pop that one on there, and then once that's done, Stamp and Seal Plus, just like Tear and Tape, just like our fuse that we used to have, exactly the same, and we're going to roll and put on all of our tabs. Same again for this one, and I'm just going to put that together, and this will obviously create either the, well, this will actually be the lid. Excuse me. And then I have my other one pre-prepared. I have realised that I've papered this one as well, but it doesn't matter. So this will be our box now. As you can see, it will sit together very pretty. So then we need to make our insert, which is this piece here. And our insert measures 6 1/2 by 3 1/2, which is 6 1/2 by 9. And we're going to score all the sides at 1 inch. Now obviously we don't need our shim for this bit. So 1 inch on all 4 sides, just like that. Then we're going to fold and burnish all of these score lines. And then on this one, we're actually cutting away the whole of the square in the 4 corners. So just cutting them away. Just like that. Okay, so that's that part done. And this is where we will now add. So I've got layering circle dies that I'm going to use to cut my holes for my nail polish on. I'm just going to grab my die cutting machine, and what I generally do is I pop the piece on here, and I'm going to put the centre one in first. So I'm just sort of eyeballing the gap either side of my score lines and the gap either side there. So I'm happy with that centre one. I'm going to run that one through, and then you just simply pop that one off and replace it on the next one. And you can see you're just leaving the equal gap, trying to line them up as best you can. And then the last one will go in just there. And again, I might just shift that across a little bit so it's not too close to the edge. Then I'm going to run this one through as well. Let's get this out of the way. So I now have my, I'm just going to pop this away so I don't lose it. So I now have my insert created, and although it may seem a little tight when you put this in, I have found that if you sort of push these front and back pieces in, it does fit in just. You sort of have to give it a little bit of encouragement. But obviously if you've used that shim, it should just fit perfectly inside. So it won't drop out, it's not too big, and it just sits if you push it down enough. Then you pop your nail varnishes inside. Now obviously we need something to hinge this together. and this is where I have another sheet of cardstock, and this is 3 by 4 inches or 11.5 by 8 centimetres, and we're going to score the short side at 1.5 inches, which is 4 centimetres. And then all I'm going to do with this is on the part that will go in the back here, and you'll notice that I have left a little bit of space here. That doesn't seem right actually. No, ignore me, that's wrong. I will make sure my measurements are correct on my blog. I'm just going to quickly grab some more mint macaron because that sizing isn't correct. Just bear with me while I just grab some more mint macaron. There we go. So we'll try again, but it does actually need to be 4.5 because you want it to be the width of your box. So we're going to go 4.5 by, is that going to be the right size that way? Yes, so 4.5 by 3. Have I just done that completely wrong? That's 4.5 by 3. I'm still going to score my short side at 1.5 because it is halfway, but I will double check that in my centimetres because I'm not convinced that's correct. Okay, so as I was saying, so we're going to fold that anyway, but you don't need to burnish it because I don't want a full score line. We're then going to just trim a very small wedge off the sides here, and the same just off the top here, and as you can see it really is a very small wedge. Okay, so once you've, and the reason for that is just so that it will fit snugly and not get caught on anything just in the back there. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is put my adhesive onto the back part there, and I am literally just going to very quickly and in one swift motion slide that in place, and then I'm just popping my fingers through the holes here. I found if you do the hinge first it's a bit trickier to get the insert in. Okay, so I found it's easier to do this first, and then I'm simply just going to fold this over, add my adhesive onto there and pop this into the lid, and all I'm doing here is just ensuring that it all sits square, and then I'm just pressing it lightly with a nail to make sure it's slightly adhered, and then just press that down inside, and that will now close together as your box. And then you just need to do your band and decorate it. So unfortunately I even asked my daughter, but I only have one of these sizes, so I'm only going to put one in this one, but it just fits nicely, it just clears that lid. Your belly band here, so I've got my cardstock which is 10 inches by 2, which is 25 by 5 centimetres, and then my DSP which is 10 by 1 3/4, which is 25 by 4.5 centimetres. So the first thing I want to do with my belly band, I'm going to rest this end on the base at the back. Okay, so this is the back of my box, this is the base, and then I'm just gently, probably easier to take it off the desk actually, and then I'm just gently going to fold that card just there, and then fold it over, and then get your bone folder on that, give it a real good crease. So that now sits across the back there, and then I'm going to carry on and do exactly the same on the front. So again, just gently fold that over, and then again I'm just lining the sides up here to ensure that that's a nice fit. And don't worry too much if you crease that card because it will be hidden by the DSP anyway. and then again across the front here. It is a bit different doing it with mint macaron, because the white box that I made before is with thick Whisper White, and it is actually a bit sturdier, and obviously it's thicker, so it is actually a bit easier to work with. So now I have my band made up, so as you can see this will wrap round and tuck at the back, so you won't ever see the seam because it's right at the back at the bottom. Once you've done that, I'm then going to get my DSP that isn't as thin as I was hoping. You wouldn't believe I'd prepped all of this, would you? So this needs to be 1 3/4, and it's slightly over, so we'll just give that a trim. And all I'm going to do on this part actually is add some adhesive, and I'm just sort of lying this side by side. I just want to put some adhesive, and I realise now I'm using Stamp and Seal Plus, not the normal one. So I'm just going to pop a piece of on to line up on the edge of that straight there, and then I just use some more of this. So this now I'm just going to run a line down to there, and then when you fold this round you just need to obviously give the DSP some creasing as well, and work your way down because it will shift the DSP slightly. And then I'm going to run some across this part here. I'll pop it on my box, and on the back my box has decided to shift. Just wrap it round, ensure it's all lined up, and then you can adhere that bit. And there is your band, unless you've done it too tight, and then your boxes will not sit together nicely. There we go. And then you just need to decorate this now. So I have already done this ahead of time because I didn't want to take forever poking all of the bits out, but I've used the Ornate Layer dies, and I've used this really pretty one here, and I've used the gold foil just to pull that bit out there, and that's obviously going to sit across the front of the box there. And then I have my Real Red, which I thought actually went really well with it. Some Gilded Gems, because I only need the larger size, and then my Ornate Thanks stamp set. And I just went with You're Amazing because I think I've mentioned before, where is it? There it is. I think I've mentioned before that even though you have the, I'm going to use a bigger block for that one, even though you have I can't even remember now what I was talking about, so just ignore me. Yeah, sorry, even though you have the thank you, you're amazing, you can still use these sentiments on their own, which I really like. So your Whisper White panel, which I have kindly measured for you to go in the centre of this ornate frame, is 2.5 inches by 1 1/8 of an inch, which seems quite tiny, but no, that's right. And that will be 6.4 by 2.8 centimetres. And then, as I say, I've got some Real Red here, and I'm just going to stamp that You're Amazing sort of maybe 1/3 of the way down, because I then want to use my Gilded Gems, which I'll actually put on once I've adhered to this. So let's pop this on here. So that fits just nicely on there, And then I'm actually also going to stick this, and again I've just sort of gone with putting some adhesive on the centre there so that it will sit on the box and just adhere there. And then the gilded gems, I've got one of the large ones for the centre and then a smaller one to go either side, just like that. And there you have it. I think I might have done my band a bit too tight on this one because it's pulling that box down on that side. But it does slide okay, so that's all good. But there we have it. There is my nail varnish gift box. Hope you like them. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye.